Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's dive right into this one because it brings up a question that is, well, it's pretty unsettling, and it's about the very world around us. So, this entire explainer is based on the terrifying, and I mean terrifying, experience of a young man named Nickel. This all happened back in 2017, and his story, it might just make you look at your own reality a little differently. All right, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off with Nikhil. He's new to the city of Pune, he's just started a job, and bam, he suddenly finds himself in a really desperate spot. So just imagine this. He's just moved to Pune for a new job, right? He gets into this silly fight with the owner of his PG, paying guest accommodation, and just like that, he's kicked out. Instantly. He's got nowhere to go, doesn't really have any close friends to crash with. In a total panic, he ends up accepting an offer from an acquaintance, a guy named Pranay, for a temporary room in a place called Viman Nagar. Now, the neighborhood itself was actually pretty lively, bustling with people, but the second Nikhil walked into this particular apartment building, man, the whole vibe just changed. It felt wrong. You know that feeling? The walls were old and crumbling, and there was this heavy, strange silence that just settled over everything. It put him on edge right away. Okay, so he gets inside the flat, and that's when he meets the other person living there, a man who would pretty quickly become the focus of this creeping, awful dread. So Pranay introduces him to his roommate, a guy named Om Prakash. He's described as, a quiet, polite, kind of nerdy guy who works from home and pretty much keeps to himself. Seems harmless, right? Always smiling. But there was one really strange habit. Om Prakash would just stand on the balcony for hours on end, just staring at the bus stop down below. Weird, but okay. So Nikhil settles in. The first 3 days were totally normal. He'd go to work, come back, eat, crash on a mattress in the hall. Simple. And for a little while, that strange, quiet building actually felt like a safe place. A bit of a calm before the storm, you could say. But then came the fourth night. And that's when the illusion of everything being normal just started to, well, shatter. It all began with these small things that just didn't make any sense. So, in the middle of the night, Nikhil wakes up and sees the balcony door is wide open. Now, he's sure he locked it. He always did. But, you second guess yourself. Maybe I forgot, he thinks, and just dismisses it. But the next day, he feels this deep, weird exhaustion he can't explain. And that's when he spots something even more disturbing across the way. So later, he's talking to Pranay and casually mentions seeing this figure on a balcony in the building opposite them, just standing there for hours without moving. And Pranay's reaction is what's so scary. He just goes pale and says, "Forget the floor. That entire building is empty. Who did you see?" And here's what really drives the horror of that moment home. As Nikhil and Pranay are freaking out, Om Prakash is completely unaffected. He doesn't even look up. He just keeps on eating his food like he didn't hear a thing. It was just not a human reaction. At this point, Nikhil's fear starts to laser focus on his silent roommate, Om Prakash, and it all builds to this one night that would completely break his sense of reality. So, one night, Nikhil sees it himself. He watches Om Prakash walk silently out to the balcony and just stand there, staring down at the street, a perfect mirror image of the creepy figure from the empty building. And when Nikhil asks him about it the next day, Om Prakash just denies it with this weird empty smile and these blank, terrifying eyes. Leaving Nikhil wondering, is this guy lying or is he sleepwalking? And then we get to the final conversation, the last night. Nikhil's in the dark, and he feels someone sit down next to him. It's Om Prakash. He asks Nikhil if he's planning to move out soon. Then he says, really calmly, "People don't stay here long." But then he adds this impossible lie. "I've been here for many years." Which is crazy. Pranay had only been there a few months. And right after he says that, he lets out this loud, booming laugh. A laugh that sounded completely inhuman. Right then, as that laugh echoes, Nikhil feels his head get all heavy, his mind just goes numb, almost like he's being hypnotized. And in that last moment of clarity, he realizes this thing he's with isn't just strange, it's something powerful and just plain evil. And then, everything went blank. Okay, so let's see how this all comes crashing down. Nikhil wakes up, but he's not in the flat. He's on the public staircase of the building, and two absolutely horrifying truths are about to hit him. He's confused, he's groggy, and he realizes he's on the building's stairs. And this is the truly weird part. All of his stuff, which had been all over the apartment, is now neatly packed and sitting right there beside him. As he's trying to figure out what in the world is going on, he runs into the society watchman. And this is the first blow to his reality. The watchman says, "Yeah, Pranay lives here, sir, but a boy named Om Prakash? I've never even heard of him." No one named Om Prakash had ever lived in that flat. So, weeks go by. Nikhil finally confronts the real Pranay. And Pranay delivers the final unbelievable truth. He says, "Dude, the flat has been locked for the last 10-15 days. I've been in my hometown. He was never there. The flat was supposed to be empty the entire time." So think about this. You have two completely different realities. In Nikhil's experience, he lived with Pranay and Om Prakash. He had conversations with them, ate with them. But the truth? The real Pranay was out of town. The flat was locked and empty. He was forced to face this horrifying idea. He was alone in that flat with something, an entity that had created this entire illusion. So, what in the world happened here? Why did this happen? Nikhil needed answers, and what he found out starts to explain the unbelievable supernatural manipulation he went through. He ended up going to a spiritual healer, a Baba, who told him about something called Tantra Mantra. It's a type of ritual that can be performed in empty places, and it can actually bind a spirit or an entity to that location. And these spirits, they're manipulative. They can literally play with the minds of anyone who steps into their space, creating vivid, shared hallucinations. You can imagine the aftermath was brutal. Nikhil immediately left Pune. He now lives with relatives in Delhi because he's too scared to live alone. The experience just shattered his ability to trust his own perception of reality. I mean, he constantly has to question if the people he's meeting are even real. That's a permanent scar. And that right there is what makes the story so unbelievably terrifying. It wasn't just, a ghost story. It was the complete dismantling of a person's reality. And it leaves you with this chilling question. If your reality completely fell apart like that, if everything you saw and heard turned out to be a lie, could you ever truly trust it again?